It is episode 3, and I'm really excited about this one. Welcome to my podcast, the Jada Bell Podcast, where I talk about union, marriage, and just other controversial topics. So I have a guest here today. I just found out her name 2 seconds ago.
It's okay.
If you want to introduce yourself and just a little fact about you.
I'm Deasia. I go by Tasty. My business is called Tasty Beauty Lounge. I am an esthetician, and that's how we know each other.
That's how we know each other.
It's very personal here.
We done seen everything, but I didn't even know her name.
It's okay. Our souls know each other, so we're fine.
Yes. So I had to bring her on because there is, every time she comes in, she is a client of mine, and now she waxes me. So we wax each other. You know what I'm saying? And every time she comes in, we just have the most deep conversations, and there's certain conversations I want to have, and I feel as though you were not only in it but still going through things. So you are like the perfect guest to talk to, because this podcast, like I said, episode 2, is going to be about womanhood, growing into your womanhood, and we need to talk about childhood trauma and how that affects our adulthood, how that's affecting relationships, and I want to get into some pretty deep stuff because,
Let's do it.
Yes, I want to get into some deep stuff. So I'll just start off with asking the first question.
Okay.
You know, because
Go ahead.
Once we start going, we're going to start going.
I know.
So just to get already into it. Oh, real quick, too. My ebook, if you haven't purchased already, I'm the Prize, Said Who? A Wife's Guide to Eliminate the Spirit of Ego. And one thing I talked about in my book was trauma and triggers, having a lot of trauma and triggers. So we're going to talk a little bit about trauma triggers. That's how we're going to start it.
Let's do it.
So my first question for you, and then you can feel free, you know, after to ask whatever questions you have too.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you find yourself needing to work on before being in a relationship?
I found myself having to let go of my childhood insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is trusting people. It was really hard to trust people just because I got hurt at a younger age by my family, by people who were supposed to protect me, and they were the first ones to hurt me. And when I say hurt, not just yell at me or discipline me or anything like that. I mean actual hurt. So I had to first trust in myself and be more secure within myself and realize that no matter what someone else does or say or how they act, that's them.
That's them, yeah.
And sometimes they're just projecting how they feel about themselves on you.
Right.
You know, so I just had to work on trusting people.
That's good.
Because if I don't trust you, because sometimes, you know, you don't feel safe with people. You know, sometimes things happen, things hit the fan. You feel like, oh, I can't trust this person, or I don't feel safe with this person. But half the time it's just you in your own head.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right,
So
exactly.
I had to just work on myself with that and calming myself down and realizing that people make mistakes.
Right.
Nobody's perfect.
Right.
But
Can't cut off everybody.
I can't cut off everybody, because then when you're
Then quit
alone,
trigger.
when you're alone, you're just like, hello.
Cut off everybody in my life.
So yeah, because I came to a point to where I cut everybody off. My family, friends, it was just me and God. And I was just like, hello, which is okay.
That is good, yeah.
It's good. It's okay. But you do need people around you. You do need friends. You do need family. And, you know, that's just the key of who you are.
Right.
So.
And in your relationship, people are going to disappoint you, even friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to realize that it's okay. You know, it's not okay, but it's okay if you do get disappointed in a different situation. You just have to come to a common ground and make sure that whoever you're dealing with, friends, family, whoever, you can communicate and take accountability.
Yeah, that's a big one. We were talking about this the other day.
You know, so I'm like, so that would be that. I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead. By the way, doesn't she look so beautiful? You are so pretty.
Thank you.
So pretty.
Referring to your book, what was your first step in letting go of your ego?
Ooh, I'd ask myself, am I the prize? Because I had this huge social media following, and I built all of that so that I could feel as though I was something and somebody, because leaving that toxic environment, my childhood trauma was just never feeling enough. So I chased after this lifestyle of having just a lot of followers, status, getting to know celebrities, and just having them on call and speed dial. And
you feel important.
I feel important. I built up this ego as though I am somebody, you know? And when I got into a marriage, my husband came in and was like, you have flaws. Let's work on those.
Like, hey, hello.
Yeah. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know? And I was having exactly. And you should be praising me for even being with you, even settling down with you. That was just that attitude and ego I had. And I was battling with myself. So the first step was just, you know, what actually does make you worthy, right? And I came to find that being purposeful and selfless is a big, beautiful character trait. And I wasn't those things.
Yeah.
I was chasing after, if I have status and all these things, I'm worth something. And that was building up that big ego. And so I had to ask myself, like, what are the actual traits of being worthy, you know?
And I feel like that comes from our childhood of not being heard, not being seen, not being understood, feeling like, oh, you're just a child, so you don't know anything, you don't know any better, so I get you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I learned about myself too. I mean, therapy is kind of humbling. Like, I walked into therapy, real talk. I was telling the therapist all about my husband, how I feel, and she said, "You're very charming." Kind of a trait of a narcissist. I said, what? She said, narcissists are very charming and everybody loves them. Yeah. You know? And so that really broke me down as, am I a narcissist? But I was like,
wait a minute.
but childhood trauma, what parents don't understand what they can do is create a narcissist, because one, either you're loving conditionally. So I have to work hard and have achievements and status and all of these things to earn your approval. So now I am a narcissist. I need to present myself like I have it all together.
Yeah, like I'm just perfect and
nobody can see my flaws.
I have all the answers. Yeah.
Nobody can see my flaws. I start freaking out the moment I would try to even control my husband. Like, don't talk about me to your family. Don't vent to anybody, because I don't want them to see
and look at me a certain way.
Yeah, I don't. And then it was so freeing. And this is maybe why I overdo it on social media, but I'm like, I'm a mess. Yeah. I'm a mess. I started feeling so free to say that. I started feeling so free to say, I have issues, I have problems, I struggle with this, I struggle with that. That felt so freeing, and I could finally break free from that narcissism that I was in.
But you have to be able to look at yourself and say, you know what? I'm not perfect. Like me, I still have this much patience. But it's something that I'm working on. I'm working on just being, just more comfortable and letting things happen, letting things flow, and just not feeling like, okay, it's not going my way. All right, I'm over this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but that comes from childhood.
Right. So let's break down a little bit about childhood trauma. Like, what is a couple of things you feel like were traumatic for you that you took into your adulthood?
So I feel like abandonment issues, for one, just because, so when I was younger, the first 7 years of my life was basically with my father. My father passed away. He got murdered. And then afterwards, it happened so quickly to where I had to go with my mother. And I was with my mother basically for 7 years of my life. So at the age of 14, I had to grow, even before that, I had to grow up a little bit, faster than anyone else that was my age.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't understand me because I was so mature. They're just like, oh, when you're young and you're beautiful, oh, you're fast, or oh, you think you're grown, or, things like that. So with my dad passing, and then with my mom, and the situations that happened with me, my mom, and like I said, not being heard, not being understood, I started to feel alone. So I had to deal with a lot of abandonment issues. My older siblings, it's been times where I feel like they weren't there for me when I needed them to be. Friends that I trusted, and I felt like, oh my God, you're my best friend, or oh, you're my closest friend, and I felt betrayed, or I felt like you weren't there for me when I needed you to be, or I felt like you were more of a friend to these other people who were never there in your life situations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not
So
loyal, yeah.
It was really just like abandonment issues, seriously, like real hard. And even today, sometimes I catch myself like, do I feel abandoned, or do I just feel like I'm growing in a different direction than this person? Like, I had to realize that sometimes, you know, everybody can't go with you on your path.
Yeah,
so
very true.
when I was younger, I used to think that I was just getting abandoned. Like,
Right.
now I understand that I have my own calling, my own path, and everybody can't be there.
Join
Yeah,
that.
they can't.
I love that.
So,
And what a huge shift from just a parent being consistently there to being just snatched away from you. That does cause severe abandonment issues that anybody can leave you at any time.
and then you have to understand with my dad, he did have, you know, other children. But see, the thing about my dad was I was with him all the time. Like, he took care of me. He treated me like a princess. That's why I feel like I'm spoiled now. But you know, he got my hair done. He got my nails done. He gave me unconditional love. He spent a lot of quality time with me. And then with my mom, it was 6 kids in house. So I didn't have that attention. I didn't have that, you know, I couldn't be heard. So from 7 years of getting that constantly to just like, oh, you'll be okay. It's 6 of you guys. Like, you'll live. And I'm just like, no, I won't. So I feel like it does make a difference. But I feel like every situation that I've ever been through helped me become who I am. And I feel like if you don't go through, not necessarily if you don't go through trauma, but if you don't go through the things that you go through in your life that shape you, you're never going to be who you are.
Right.
So,
and there's more depth. I actually was getting my hair done yesterday, and I was saying how...
And it looks good, okay.
Thank you. Yo, afro look good. I'm glad you wore it today.
I know, I did it for you.
Thank you.
I did it for beautiful. Me, but I did it for you.
Thank you. I love it. I saw her with her afro for the first time. I was like, that's pretty. You need to wear your hair, girl. You need to wear your hair.
Ignore her.
No. No, yeah, that's huge. And I want to say this too. I think when you came in, one of the first times she came in, we just started talking about mommy issues.
Yes.
I got mommy issues. I don't have daddy issues.
Yeah.
I don't have daddy issues. My dad, there was abandonment with my dad because he was in and out of my life. So he would be there. And when he was there, he spent time with me, quality time, heard my emotions, wasn't reactive. Nothing like that. It was a very stable environment, the small times I had with him, and then he would be gone for like 10 years. You know what I mean? And then come back in my life. And now, as an adult, he said, I apologize for that. You know, him and my mom were just butting heads, and he just gave up. He just said, you know what?
Sorry.
I got other kids, and he just tended to the kids that were there because it was so hard.
It was easier to deal with their mothers or, you know, whatever.
Exactly.
It makes sense, yeah.
Exactly. So that caused abandonment issues with their stability, and it's gone. The stability is gone. But most people's issues are with the primary caretaker, which was my mother. So
Same.
My mother be feeling like, why you come from my throat, my neck, when your daddy wasn't there? But people's childhood trauma stemmed from whoever was taking care of them, the primary caretaker, because you learned from them.
Yeah.
And when you have a mother, I have mommy issues because when you have a parent who's not emotionally
mature or... Look, gotcha.
We were talking about this a lot. So I bought a book that, you know, I don't even remember what it's called, but it basically would say I have mommy issues. And I read this book and I said, wow, I have mommy issues. I thought I had daddy issues this whole time.
Yeah, no. It comes from, like how you said, who takes care of you. And then with mine, like dealing with my mom, I'm going back to your first question. It was a lot of survival mode that I had to deal with.
Yeah.
With my dad, stable. And I say stable in the sense of like emotionally intelligent, being able to talk to me, hearing how I feel, making sure that he takes the time out to ask me, are you okay? And things like that. My mom is just like, it's all about me.
Yeah.
It's my world. You just live in it. And it's like, oh my God, you brought me in here.
Right.
I didn't ask for this.
I didn't ask for this either. Yeah. My mother, you know, and again, I gotta say this, maybe this is like the scared child in me, but I'm scared of like how mom will watch this and react and stuff because you're always on your tippy toes with their emotions because, you know, it's about them and their mental health and their peace. And they don't like when you go out and destroy that or just
like
attack
for example, my mom, she used to love the fact that I was intimidated of her or I was scared of her. So she'll go around and be like, oh no, Deaja's not gonna do that because she's scared of me. That's not good. I shouldn't be scared of my mother. I came from you. I should feel, you know, comfortable enough to tell you things, or I should be able to like feel like you're my best friend. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of times parents don't really understand how much value they have in your life. They just feel like, okay, I'm your mom. I'm here. I'm taking care of you. Rarely. But
bare minimum.
You know,
You supposed to feed me tonight.
You know what I mean? Like, we got to figure this out on our own. And, you know, like I said, so with me being in a house of 6, it's 3 older, 3 younger. The 3 older, we have to take care of the 3 younger kids. So I never, I had a childhood, don't get me wrong, but I had to grow up faster because I had to take care of my little siblings. I had to watch them. I wasn't cooking at that time. I can cook now, though. But, you know, my older sister, she had to cook. We had to clean everything while my mom is, you know, living her life or with her man or, like, whatever the case may be. You know, so it's like, you juggle a lot.
Agreed. And I feel as though I want to just talk about how you said you felt like you were scared. For me, I was scared of my mother, but I was scared of my mother's reactions.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, I was just, she just would be like so explosive.
Short fuse.
Yeah.
Same.
So I kept everything in. And even recently, like, my sister's like, you need to get a hold of your anger, because when I visited, I was keeping everything in because I knew if I said anything, my mother was not going to hear me.
And you get used to just keeping everything in
and then you
explode. And then people looking at you like,
are you crazy? And then they turn on you and they say, this is why I love you. This is why I love you. We're soul sisters. We're soul sisters.
Seriously though, but it's like, and then people feel like they can start to take advantage of you because you're holding it all in.
People pleasing now.
Yeah, you're people pleasing. It's like, I'm turning 28 on the 28th. I'm just now getting to a point to where I'm just like, I'm not pleasing anybody if I can't please myself. Like, I don't care how I make you feel. Well, I care about how I make people feel, but I make sure that I feel good first. I make sure that I understand the situation at hand. I make sure that I can completely feel confident in whatever that situation is, and then I'll make sure that you're good.
Yeah,
because
that's good.
I'm done with that.
So what advice? Because I do believe that I didn't figure out I had these issues until I got married. I didn't realize it all came out, that I had all these different insecurities and fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of speaking, and that was draining. But what do you think is, what advice would you give to women? Because this is going to be about helping women grow into womanhood.
We love y'all.
Yes, we love y'all women. What do you think the first step to this type of self-reflection, like what do you think that they should take steps to? And I don't even think I'm saying that right, but
no, I get what you're asking, but it's a little bit hard because I feel like as you grow and you go through situations, you're still growing. You're still catching things that you should work on, or you know what I mean? You're still looking at yourself. You're still, reevaluating like everything that you do in your actions. But I feel like a little piece of advice, because I'm still, learning on my own, is to like take time out for yourself and figure out who you are. And, that doesn't always mean like go into the bathroom in the mirror and say, you're this, you're that, you're good.
That's not really self-love to me. I feel like I gotta be alone.
No, yeah. But you have to have time alone to realize who you are. And when you're going through these situations, don't just always feel like I'm right, and you're wrong, or however the case may be. But you have to really take time out for yourself. Find things that you love. Write it down.
Yeah.
Like, get a notebook, write it down. Write down every time you get triggered and go back and read it so you can realize, okay, I need to calm down.
Yeah.
Or, you know what, I was right, but I could have handled that situation different. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's really just you finding out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, and it'll help you a little bit just with understanding what you need to be around in the environment that you need to be around. But hey, I'm still
working towards it every day.
Every day.
And then I would also say too, this was big for me. I learned what my attachment style was. So I learned that I was anxious attachment, which I was very clingy, and I was always monitoring his or other people's emotions towards me.
Yeah.
Like right now, if you moved a little away, I'll be like, oh my gosh.
What did I do?
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, does she hate me?
Yeah.
What did I do? And I realized this was just because of having a parent I just was always big reactions.
You just walk on eggshells. So
walk
you have
on
to
eggshells
make sure.
all the time. And I would, identify what your attachment style is. I think that's a really big way to heal, is to understand yourself.
Yeah.
Understand why you are the way you are, and work towards becoming a secure attachment style as well, right? So I had to tell myself, just because he need some space right now, my partner needs some space right now, does not mean he's never coming back.
Exactly. and that's another thing. Because, me and you, we realize that we've been in relationships half of our life. Yeah. So I feel like you have to really give each other space. And my longest relationship I ever had, we never gave each other space. We were always together. It didn't matter if we had the biggest fight ever. Like, we never gave each other space. And I feel like in life, regardless, whether you're in a relationship with your parents, with your siblings, with your friend, like, you have to have your own space.
Yeah.
Completely.
And individuality.
So you can think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And evaluate stuff. Beautiful.
Okay, let me see. I have another question.
Okay.
What is one thing that you would tell your younger self?
Ooh.
That's deep, right?
You know what? There's so many things, because I'm thinking about a million that I wish I could tell her.
Think about one thing that you, not even necessarily one thing, but what is something that you would tell your younger self? It can be like, just relax a little bit. It's all gonna like, come together, be okay. It could be anything. I don't want to give you too many, I want you to tell me.
Actually, the first one that actually comes to mind, and I'll explain why, is wish I could tell her to wait till marriage, which is so, just anybody could say that, but the reason why is I feel as though the moment I started being sexually active at a young age, there was a lot of trauma that went on top of trauma.
Yeah.
I already had, these issues with my mother, but I started to look for partners, because we just talked about that, right? We were always in relationships. My husband I met when I was 17. I could have waited.
Yeah.
I could have waited. I'm mad at myself. Like, it was not that far away, but I started at such a young age because I was looking to fill a void and I wanted love so bad.
So bad. That's me.
And they just, first of all, being that young, they don't know themselves. You're how old? You're in high school. You don't know yourself.
I don't even know what love is.
I don't know what love is.
I come from trauma. I don't even know what love is.
Exactly. So I wish that I at least just had that foundation. I could have told myself, you're going to already be experiencing a lot and have to grow through a lot. Do not add all this extra baggage and trauma from being in these relationships, trying to find love. Don't do that to yourself. You actually probably could have healed quicker and faster and sooner if I just was in a relationship. Yes, and I just focused on studies and school and just finding who I am and my purpose. And I know that's it's like I said, it's a cliche thing to say, but I really wish that I did that, and think that I actually advise a lot of other young girls to wait. Like, you're so young. Your brain isn't even fully developed. Your frontal lobe isn't developed till you're 25. You don't know empathy and certain things until you're in your 20s. Why are we in relationships that are so self-sacrificing?
And they're serious, too.
I was in a serious relationship at a young age. What did you do?
And not only was I in a serious relationship at a young age, it was more of like, I'm going through real life trauma and survival situations, and then I have a relationship to maintain. So it's like, I'm losing my head.
You're in a real life survival situation, trying to be in a relationship.
Trying to still make you happy, still take care of you. Not even taking care of myself at this point, because I'm trying to figure out, what I'm going to do next or where I'm going to go next. And it's like, I added so much trauma on my life. And don't get me wrong, you still grow and you still learn a lot of things. But I wish I would have told myself, like, can you just relax a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, relationships, it's billions of people in the world. Like, relationships are always going to be there. But if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be here. So, I can agree.
So, I'm going to ask a question.
Yep.
So, we're over here talking a lot about relationships and stuff, but I kind of wanted to get into friendships now.
Yeah.
And I want to say, what do you think, now we discussed what you need to work on before getting into a relationship, but what do you think the main issues are that friends are facing too?
I feel like I can only speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
With me and my friendships, I do have friendships that are over like 15 years. Mm-hmm. But I've had friendships where there are a few months. I've had friendships that are on and off. And I feel like my thing is I have a problem with cutting people off. I feel like if you rub me the wrong way, or just anything that I feel is against me in any type of way, like, how sometimes you deal with girls and in the environments that I work in, it's so many ladies. So you can be my best friend, but if you're talking to her and I have a problem with her or I cut her off, can I trust you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know if you're going to go behind my back and you guys are going to have a conversation about me, even though I can't control that.
Right.
But I feel like
I don't like group friendships.
Not even group friendships. Group friendships are really hard to maintain. Yeah. It's so many different. Like I was just in one, and when I tell you, we fell out over the dumbest thing. But I feel with me and that particular girl is so much of an on and off friendship that I don't need anything unstable in my life anymore. So I'm at a point to where, like, in my friendships, like, we need to be able to communicate. I don't care, even if you can't communicate it correctly, like in a nice way, like tell me if I upset you. Tell me if I make you mad, because I'm very vocal.
We just talked about this too.
And with me being vocal, though, a lot of people can't take that. Right. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, she's problematic, or oh my gosh, she's this and that. And it's like, no, I just want to communicate where you kind of, you know, had me effed up.
Right. Well, and then I just went through that, and a whole friendship fell out over the fact that I was trying to communicate. I'm bothered by this. I don't like this. And it turned into a big
fight over nothing.
Where it's I'm explaining what the issue is. I'm explaining how it's making me feel. I want to come together and fix this, but it's people are very sensitive.
People are sensitive, and I feel like a lot of people care about their image too much.
Yes.
So when we're talking about ego, I feel like a lot of egos come into play when you're falling out with people. So I'm at a point to where I have my friends. I'm always down to make new friends. I love talking to people. But now that I know how I am and how people can be, I'm more softer when I communicate. If I feel like it's not worth it, then I will stop. Like, after I feel like I've tried, I explain, I have bullet points, what you said, how I reacted, what I said, how you reacted. You know what I mean? Like, if I just feel like it's no point of even having that friendship, it serves me no purpose.
Right.
So it's like,
well, you need two people that are willing to take accountability, just like being in a relationship. Yeah. And I got to a point too where, and I love how you said that's ego based, because it's like, oh, she views me as this. They just cut it off, or they start to deflect, and well, there's something wrong with you. Where
or you're acting this way.
Love is, if you come to me with the problem, I love you enough to let me see out what this is. Is this something within me? I have a friend who, you know, she had an issue with, I was putting way too much pressure on her. We were running a Bible study, and she was supposed to be one of the speakers or the leaders in it, and it was I was overwhelmed. That is not for me, okay? Running Bible study stuff is not for me. It's too much. But she was supposed to be the leader. She's supposed to talk, and she kept canceling. And I was like, "You need to get it together. You need to help me." But I was overwhelmed.
She couldn't take that pressure.
She couldn't take it, and she said, "I'm too empathetic. Everybody that comes in all of emotionally, it drains me."
Yeah.
Because again, she's coming from a toxic household. That's already draining.
Yes.
This is draining.
Yes.
And she explained to me, Jada, honestly, you're putting too much pressure on me. Like, this is overwhelming, and it started. And I took it. I took the heat.
But where she went wrong is she should have communicated that to you ahead of time. Like, look, because I already tell you, like, I get overwhelmed easily.
Yeah.
And when I get overwhelmed, I used to shut down, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, all right, let me breathe a little bit. But I feel like she should have communicated that to you. Like, look, this is a lot. I'm doing a lot. I'm doing more than I've ever done. So just be a little bit more patient with me. You know what I mean? You could have
that might have been her trying to people please.
Yeah,
because of the household that she came from. And I just feel like, again, this is the growth that you have to go through, but this is why we're here talking, right? To help women to understand that don't take everything so personally, because you don't know what household they came from,
what they have to deal with every single day.
Yeah.
What they deal with inside, you know what I mean? So yeah, you have to be a little bit more patient with people. But I also feel like accountability is a big thing. Yeah. Like, a lot of people are just like, okay, you acted this way, bye. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, ask me why. Like, ask me what you did, or because I'm going to tell you, but if you don't care about it, I'm not going to care about it. That's my thing. I used to care about things more than other people. So now I'm at a point to where I only care about things enough for myself to not be overwhelmed, and for the other person to not get overwhelmed with the love that I'm trying to give. Because when it comes to friendships, I love you. I would do anything.
Well, we
for
talked
you.
about that. I'm clingy. I would tell her I didn't really. We only been with each other a couple times.
Yeah.
So I was like, I love
We're like
you.
this, y'all.
Yeah, I love you.
But everybody's not like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like people who are super clingy and just like, you know. But I feel like that comes from home. Everything comes from home.
We want love a lot. We have a lot of love to give because we weren't able to express that safely.
Yes.
So we're both
and it's okay. I feel like you just have to understand how clingy you
that
need
hit
to
my
be.
inner child. That hit my inner. Can I say why am I clingy? Why do I?
For real though.
Once you feel safe with someone, I cling on to people I feel safe with, and that's why I love my husband.
But I had to go through a lot of things to get there. To feel safe with people, to feel clingy is okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, to be that way. Yes, so you feel safe. And we were talking about it the other day. I told her I feel like I can say anything to her, and it's just such a safe space. And then you're in that inner child is like so healing because
you know what, guys, she thinks things, and I say the things that she thinks.
Yes, and I feel so safe. Like thank God I could say that. You said it out loud, and I don't feel crazy.
I'm always gonna be the one who's gonna. I would say anything, and not even like in a rude way, but I'm very vocal. So say we went out, and you're very vocal too. But say we went out, and you didn't like your meal or something. Hey, waiter.
And I won't say it.
For her?
I won't tell the waiter. I'll be like,
will.
they're gonna spit in my food.
Nope.
And then she'll do it for me.
And
Love
it's not.
that.
And I feel like
Good balance.
it's not what you do; it's how you do it in life. Period. Regardless. So I want to change this a little bit, and I want to talk about OnlyFans.
That was my last question.
Okay, well, let's
bro. Why? I'm not even lying to you. I'm not lying to you. This is the last question. This is the last question. It was about it.
So
that's
this
how I know that she's my soulmate.
Right. So my question is, it's a 3-part question, but you don't have to make it like, you don't have to over-explain yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so what made you start an OnlyFans? When did you realize you wanted to stop?
Okay.
And did having an OnlyFans bring problems to your relationship?
Ooh, yes. Okay, so the first question was, what made me start was survival mode.
Yes.
I'm on my own. I can't count on my mom. I honestly couldn't count on my dad. And this is where I feel as though a lot of women get into any of that type of work, sex work. When I talk to sex workers, when I talk to women who are prostitutes, I talk to women, majority of the time, they're in survival mode. They have no help.
Too, so,
yes.
Yeah.
And they become just, I'm going to do whatever to get out of the situation. I was fighting so hard not to make one because I already had sexualized myself so much on social media and was gaining a following from that. So I just like, that's going to be the icing on the cake. But that's why I made one because I was stuck. I was like, I need to make a lot of money really, really fast. And that's why I made one.
Okay. When did you realize you wanted to stop?
I realized I wanted to stop when I was married. So I had already known my husband before I even made OnlyFans. He watched me from college. Like I was 17 before I even popped off on social media. So he watched this whole evolution. And that's the reason why I feel like he even married me though, because he is such a religious man and he had standards for himself as he should. And but he just saw the woman I wanted to be, and I was in survival mode. So he married me even with OnlyFans. But I wanted to change for him.
For you ladies out there.
Yeah,
you can still be married, or
you can still be married if you can. You can.
No, but go ahead. Okay,
but it was hard.
Did it bring problems to your marriage?
Absolutely, it did. Well, it was more so my husband would challenge me. He knew who we married. He knew what I was in, and he knew I was in it for survival mode. It's how I made money. But he said, "Is this what you want to do for the rest of your life?" Right? I was like, "No, I want to have kids and stuff." And he said, "You should start seeking out something that'll give you more purpose that you could be proud of because." He said, I see you as, and again in the word it says, God views us as diamonds and rubies, like we're priceless, okay? But I'm putting a price tag on myself.
On you, yeah.
And he said that you're worth more than this, and you should. And he fully supported me. That's why I love this man. He fully supported me going back to school, becoming an esthetician, failing and falling. And every time I was like, I feel like I should just make OnlyFans again. It was just so easy. I could just get money that way. He was like,
but see, the easy route isn't always the best one.
Exactly.
So it makes sense. Okay.
So, and I'm asking you your question and then we'll wrap up. So actually my question was, does that affect your relationships and how? But I'll also ask a part 2 because I want to know your thoughts as well. Do you feel as partners even have a right to ask you to stop if they feel uncomfortable?
So, okay. What was the first question again?
The question is, how does it affect? Do you think that it affects relationships?
I feel like, of course, anything that you're doing that's quote unquote sex work is going to always affect your relationships unless you're in that type of understanding where you know, that world of where it's like, okay, you need to do anything for money so we can get to this point.
Yeah.
But when you're like, I feel like I'm like a normal girl. They would call it square, but I do certain things because I've been in survival mode. And square just means like green. Like, I'm very, like how I told you, you meet me in person, I'm just goofy, I'm a little shy, you know what I mean? People think because I do have an OnlyFans or I am a dancer that when you see me, I'm just like, woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. But I feel like to an extent, like, it can bring problems if your person is not secure within themselves. And not saying that because, like how you said, your husband seemed more, he wanted you to understand that you have more potential. I just feel like when it comes to me, for example, in my relationships, it was never a problem. They never say anything, but we do have an agreement. Like, if we do get married, I don't want you to have to ask anybody for money, because if you think about it, sex work is basically going around asking people for money. Just
I didn't think about that.
Not saying it like that, but it's in a way. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I have this to offer. Give me money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I get told is, once we take this next step in life, I want you to really decide, like your husband said, on what you want to be and what your purpose is and where you can go from here. Because at the end of the day, like, when you really look at it, with me having an OnlyFans, like, yeah, I make money, but when I look at it, I'm just like, you basically can see all of me for a price.
For a price, that's how my husband
worth
put it.
So much more than that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it does, but it doesn't. I feel like when you are secure within yourself, you know what you're doing, you're out there, you're getting your money for your purpose, but once you get to a point, it's like, want more for yourself.
Yeah.
Which, that's what I want. That's why I went to school to become an esthetician.
And I did, that's the same thing. I left OnlyFans to become an esthetician.
Yeah.
And then when you're walking in that, you look back and see that you were,
like, you know, don't get me wrong, like, I feel like my OnlyFans, it helped me. Like, during COVID, my OnlyFans, it paid all my bills.
Yeah.
So thank God. But at the end of the day, it's like, now that we're not in COVID anymore, now that the whole world is back open, I have so many options, I have so many things that I can do. Yeah, no, we're gonna change this up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And again, and that just starts off with the first point, and then I'll wrap it up with that.
Yeah.
Is that trauma or just getting yourself in certain situations, it teaches you a lot about yourself. And from even having done that and experienced that to being who I am now, I can just help other women to say, hey, I know you're in survival mode, but what else do you want to do?
And you have to start thinking
purposeful.
about getting out of survival mode.
Yeah.
Stop just being stuck in that, because when you're a dancer or you have OnlyFans, you're
surviving.
Yeah, you're still just surviving.
And you got to start
expanding.
Yeah, to settle down. And you don't have to still be in it. I love that.
Yeah.
So,
and I love you, my soul sister.
I'm going to have her on for another one. So if you guys have questions, concerns, whatever, however, write them down and we'll discuss, you know, whatever questions you guys have about this one. If you guys want us to go deeper into like the whole OnlyFans thing and our revelations with that, we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Again, she's Esthetician. I will put her link in the bio of her business. And
Tasty Beauty Lounge. Come see me.
Go see her. She's amazing. She's so cute. So go get waxed by her. She does a phenomenal job
because I wax her.
Yes, legs is waxed, looking great. Okay,
but thank you guys.
Thank you for joining. See you on episode 4.